Hello.
everyone. Hello, 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 and welcome back.
And you missed it because we had Laurent on all last week and yesterday.
Yes.
And you might be shocked to learn that for the very first project, Free Code Camp has you do the hardest possible project to do in the real world.
hmm
And when we're doing the tribute page today, it's going to be even harder.
Oh, no. Actually, it's not, everyone. Feel free to take a breath and take a break. We are stepping back a little bit today and tomorrow. This tribute page is going to be mainly HTML and CSS. And we're going to learn about how to deploy this tribute page onto Netlify using GitHub as well.
Okay, so I'm actually not going to be. Our learners, so folks
Yes.
who are part of the main bootcamp, already know that I'm incredibly lazy. I'm joyously lazy. I'm
Get out of
d
here.
so what I'm gonna do
Mhm.
is I got us started today,
Yep.
and all I did was just enough to make the test pass. Nothing was pretty, everything was bad, everything was ugly.
Yes.
Would that be a good way to do this? So
I love it.
today,
Mhm.
just do enough of this where it kind of matches what Free Code Camp asks for,
Yep.
and then maybe tomorrow we could spend some time actually making it look pretty?
I love that idea. Sounds good to
And
me.
maybe only if we have time and only if folks want to, we could do like 1 or 2 lines of JavaScript, maybe to like make a button change colors, just like something very soft and easy. Because
Mhm.
we did a lot of JavaScript last week and it was really hard.
It's very, very heavy.
I didn't
That's
ask for
okay
that.
though. That's okay though.
So
Yeah.
I think the tools that folks are going to need are they'll need VS Code or another text editor they want to work in because we're
Correct.
going to take this out of the tutorial environment.
Yep.
They're going to need GitHub or a similar version control.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And they're going to need a Netlify account if they want to mirror the way we're deploying this.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I'm not thinking of?
I think those are the main 3. Yeah.
Okay, the main three. That sounds scary. That means sounds like maybe there's going to be some mystery
I
problems.
don't think so. I think that's all.
Oh, we've got our student teacher, Cesium, is saying, hey, I really love the idea of just a teeny tiny bit of JavaScript. Can we make this more chaotic and take requests? So, for folks who are joining us who've done a little tiny bit of JavaScript, can you think of like what tiny
Mhm.
bit of JavaScript you might want to see us add tomorrow?
Yeah,
So, what small, non painful JavaScript preview could we add in?
that's right.
Yeah, let's get this started and talk through it. And then I'm so sorry. I'm going to step back and be even lazier than usual.
No problem, Jess. I'm so excited to work on this with everyone. So thank y'all so much for coming. Let's get started. All right. So I'm going to add my screen. All right. So everyone, you see here, I have this link and I'll also drop this in the chat so everyone has access to it. But this is the page that we're going to be working on today. And so this is our build attribute page from Free Code Camp curriculum. All right.
Okay.
So,
And we've just got it side by side. We're going to have the instructions here, and we're just going to do this in VS Code
mhm.
instead of doing it in. How terrifying.
So yeah, so there's a couple different approaches that we can take today. It can be that because we had mentioned that we want all of our tests to pass, we can build this out all in the Free Code Camp UI, and then port it over to VS Code once we know that all the tests pass.
I'm going to stop you because that sounds
Yeah.
way more technical than it actually is, right?
Oh,
So, when you say port it over, you mean
oh, words.
do it in the
Thank
copy, do it in the
you.
tutorial, do it in the Free Code Camp environment, and
Right.
then copy and paste it over, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay,
Exactly.
cool. I was like, "Oh, what's it
Thank you.
like ports? No
Thanks for
ports."
stopping me. No, no ports, no ports. I got to remember language is important.
No, you're always perfect. You're incomparable. You're a I'm gonna take myself out of the screen. Otherwise, I'm just gonna compliment Naya the whole time. I will
So
leave
much
it to
love.
y'all to compliment Naya the whole
Thank
time.
you. Oh, you're too sweet. We love Jess. Thank you, Jess. Okay, everyone. So, oh, thank you so much. Oh, all the love. Let me give some love to our wonderful teammates. So, thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's good to be back, y'all. So grateful, always grateful to be in this space with y'all. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. All right. So what I'm thinking of first is that actually let's try and build this out in the Freed Code Camp environment. And then we're going to move, just copy and paste, just like Jess said, copy and paste it over into our VS Code environment after that. So What I'm going to do is actually just take this over, scoochy, scoochy, scooch. And I might just move this all the ways, do a little scoochy scooch action. Yeah, and extend that completely. And then what I'm going to do is also, let's scoot it. Um, yeah, perfect. Now, so you see that I clicked on this index.html, and I want to remember to make this bigger for y'all so that it's easier for you to see as well. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Y'all thank you, Jess. Jess is just the sweetest, most wonderful human being in the world. So I always appreciate this team. All right, so let's get into it, everyone. So you see here, you're already, if you're following along with me, you're already seeing this build a tribute page on your Freed Code Camp thing. And so they say here that our objective is to build an app that is functionally similar to this kind of tribute page here. So you can open that up and you'll see this is a tribute page for this incredible doctor who saved 1 billion lives. And you'll see that we have an image here. We have some text here and then a very cool timeline and then a wonderful quote and then a little bit more with a link. And we call that an anchor tag in HTML. So we're going to be doing something similar to this. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles that this has, for example, but it'll have some of the core functionality. Okay, so let's go on back. I'm going to exit that out. Let's go back here. And so here are what they call user stories. And what user stories are, it's kind of hard to explain. But what user stories are is like a little bit of some of the goals that you want to have at the end of building out your application, right? Our first user story says that we want to, the tribute page should have a main element with the corresponding ID of main, which contains all the other elements. So normally we would build out like, start off our document with our document.html, et cetera, et cetera. So we can model that here as well. But just for what we're doing just for this is just to make sure these little check marks are checked so that we can continue to move on. So when we run this, for example, it says run the tests, and these are the tests down below. You should have a main element with an ID of main. That is the same thing as what this first user story says. So that's what we're going to do first. All right. So we are going to create a main element. And remember, we're using HTML. So we have that opening caret, and then we're going to type main, and then we can do a closing caret. And then we want to, this is our opening main element. And we always want to have a corresponding entire closing main element as well. So we're going to do / that means closing, MAIN, and we're going to close it out. So all of our code is going to go in here. So I'll just expand this out. So all of our code is going to be in here. So your tribute page should have the main element with the corresponding ID. We've missed something. With the corresponding ID of main. So remember, we're going to, in order to create IDs, we're going to write the letters I and D, and then do equals, and we're going to have it equal to the word main. All right. So your tribute page should have a main element with a corresponding ID of main, which will contain all of our other elements. So that looks correct to me. And what we can do, hi friends, hi Ramon, welcome my friend. So good to have you back. And what we could do just right now is to see if this test will pass. We could run it just this once. So perfect. So we got a check mark. You should have the main element and an ID of main. Check. Excellent. So now we're going to go back to all of our elements here, and we're going to see that the second thing we need to do is that you should see an element with an ID of title, which contains a string. Look at us. We got ahead of ourselves, everyone. First of all, I didn't even let y'all know who are we going to choose to write this tribute about. Oh my goodness, how could we? Hey Sadie, welcome. So glad to have you always. Okay, yes. So, for those who are just joining, we are making a tribute page to an incredible person. And so I have chosen this amazing individual. I want to do a tribute page on the Katherine Johnson. And if you don't know who Katherine Johnson is, let's do a quick little search. Katherine Johnson. She is huge, everyone. So, Katherine Johnson, she was an American mathematician whose calculations of orbital mechanics as a NASA employee were critical to the success of the first and subsequent US crewed space flights. Honey, she was black. All right. A black mathematician who was pivotal in the work of NASA when we had our first space flights. So if you've seen, there's been a number of documentaries about her and movies. One of them is called Hidden Figures. She is absolutely incredible. So Katherine is who we are going to be doing our tribute page on. And she is also very well known in the computer science space. So I used to look up to her, and I still do. But especially when I was joining this team, I was like, I want to be just like Katherine. So that's who we're going to be doing our tribute page on today. And then we're going to go back and let's build this out. All right. So, okay. So back to number 2, you should see an element with an ID of title, which contains a string, i.e. text. Remember, string is text that describes the subject of the page. Okay. So this might be a little confusing because they didn't specify what kind of element we want to build out here. So we can just choose one and see if it satisfies the requirements. So they say you should see an element with an ID of title, which contains a string, aka like Dr. Norman. So we can choose, since this is going to be title, it's going to be really, really important. So what I'm going to choose is to make that an H1. All right. And then we have our opening H1, and we always want to do, and I just press enter there. We're going to do our closing H1. All right. And then we want that to have an ID of, what does it say? ID of title. So ID equals title. Perfect. And then we're going to have the name of the subject of our tribute page right here. So this will be Katherine Johnson. Ta-da. All right. So we can move down and see, boom, you should have an element with ID of title. So let's run that test. That's the third one down here. Let's run a test and see if we get a check mark. Ooh, we have a number of different check marks. Excellent. Perfect. So we're doing well here. All right. Perfect. So you should, the next one, moving on to number 3, you should see either a figure or a div element with an ID of image div. Okay. So we have our ID of title right here, H1. And then right under it, we're going to have a div element, div. And also, y'all always remember, if I'm going too fast, hit it in the comments. Let me know, Naya, slow down. I didn't understand this. What are you doing? But hopefully this should be just a little bit of review for folk. But remember, we here, especially at Couchbase, we're always trying to make sure that that our learners and me too, as a learner, we're always understanding. And that's what's really important to us. So appreciate you. And thank you so much for being here yet again. All right, so let's continue. So we have a div element. And so we're going to make sure we have a closing div as well. And we're going to add an ID equals image img dash div. Whoop, what did I forget here? Boop, boop, technical term, boop. Perfect. Okay, so now we say you should see either a figure or a div element. We chose a div element, and it has an ID of img slash div. Always have to be cognizant of those little things there. Perfect. So we've done step 3. And what I'm going to do going forward is I'm just going to go through all these steps. And then at the end, we're going to run all the tests and see which ones we have to adjust. Cool. Bet. Okay. So next for step 4, we have, yes, we do have a point here. Okay. So would it be better to use a figure instead of a div for semantics? Excellent point, Cesium. Yes, it would. So let us change that to figure. So in order to understand the difference of like semantics and especially when choosing, figure is very specific. And it's in a way, it's describing what this is going to be. So let's change this to figure. And then we're going to change the closing to figure. Boom. And it has an ID of div. Thank you, Cesium. Always appreciate you. Lovely. Perfect. Okay. And then on to number 4. Within the hashtag image slash div element, and that's the figure one that we just chose, you should see an image element. Okay, with the corresponding ID of image. Okay, so remember they said within here. So we're going to go within the opening and closing brackets, going to go between those. And we're going to create another element inside of that. And that element is going to be an IMG, which is an image element. And then I forgot if image elements are self-closing in HTML. Totally forgot. Let me know in the comments. Are image elements self-closing? I think they are, but I forgot myself. So I'm just going to close it. It's not going to break your code if you close it. So that'll be perfectly fine. And then they said they want a, let's see, what ID do they want on this? Or corresponding ID of image. So ID equals image. ID equals image. Excellent. So we have the IMG element with a corresponding ID equals image. Perfect. Let's move on to step 5. Okay. And if y'all have any questions or any comments or concerns, always throw them in the chat. All right. So step 5, and let me even this out a little bit and get our indentation right. Perfect. So I'm going to throw this over. Perfect. So we have our levels now. Figure, and the image is within the figure. So I made sure to indent it over. Cool. All right. So number 5, within the image slash div element, you should see an element. Okay. So another one within the image slash div element, you should see an element with the corresponding ID of image slash caption that contains textual content describing the image shown in image slash div. All right. So they said within the image slash div that is right here, we're going to add another element that's going to be image slash caption. And because they're saying that this is going to be some text here, I'm taking a hint that this should be like a span or something like that. I don't think this is going to be long enough to be a paragraph tag. So I'm going to use a span tag, which is going to be just a short, like almost no longer than 1 sentence description of what this image is going to be. So I'm going to use a span here, span, boom. And then we want to do our closing span. Perfect. And then they want an ID on this span that says image caption. ID equals image caption. beautiful. Perfect. Okay, image caption. All right, that contains some textual content describing what the image will be. So we're going to have an image, and let's take a step back here. We're going to have an image, just like how they had mentioned for the other tribute page. Boom. So this will be like the big image, and so for this image, this will probably be a picture of Dr. Katherine Johnson. So let's add some a caption to this. So we're going to say Katherine Johnson's, like her like profile photo or her headshot. All right. Cool. So span ID image caption, Katherine Johnson's headshot. All righty. All right. So we're on number 5 that contains textual content describing the image shown in image dash div. Beautiful. All right. And then for number 6, it says you should see an element with the corresponding, and we're not done. We're always going to come back because even here, this image tag, it doesn't have all the elements that we need. So if you see on line 5, let me know what are the things that the image tag needs. It doesn't just take an ID. What else does it take? If you remember from your learnings, what else does it take? So I'm going to come back to that. Okay. And then for number 6, you should see an element with a corresponding ID tribute info, which contains textual content describing the subject of the tribute page. Alrighty. So it doesn't tell us where we should put this. So I'm just going to take this outside of the span. And we are still in the figure element, all within main. Let me make this a little bit smaller so we can see it all on one screen. I'm going to go outside of that figure element, and I'm going to uh, place it right here. So we're going to see an element with a corresponding ID tribute info. So it says tribute info, which makes me think, okay, this is going to be like a longer, not just a one sentence, a one line thing, but longer than that. So I'm going to use a paragraph tag here. So we're going to do a P tag or paragraph tag, and we're going to also make sure that we always close what we open. Very important. All right. So we have our opening and our closing paragraph tags, and they are asking for that paragraph tag to have the ID tribute info. So I'm just going to copy and paste this over here. ID equals tribute info. Perfection. All right. And then which contains textual content describing the subject of our tribute page. All right. So let's actually grab some of that info right now. So we want to have we want to have all the content about the great Katherine Johnson. So let's go over to Brave. Well, that's just my my browser of choice. And so we can grab some info from nasa.com. That would be so amazing. Oh, look at this wonderful, wonderful woman. Look at what she's done. Okay, so the biography by Margaret Lee Shetterly. So this is a longer biography of the great Katherine Johnson. And what I'm going to do is, and always remember to cite your sources, but what I'm going to do is grab this, including letting everyone know who the biography is by. I'm just going to grab this text, copy and paste. Thank you, NASA. And then I'm going to throw it over into and between our paragraph tags. All right. So I'm going to just place that there. Oh, lovely, 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 lovely. More info. Perfection. Great. Okay. So now we have all the information of our tribute info. And we'll move down to number 7. You should see a element. And what does A stand for, y'all? Do y'all remember? Do, 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 do. You got this. Let it come into your brain. You know what A stands for. Let it manifest. Excellent. Excelente. It is the anchor tag. All right. So the A stands for the anchor tag. And an anchor tag, in a way, is like it's a link to something. It when you click it, it should go to somewhere else. So now they're saying that we should also have an anchor tag. And let's throw that at the bottom of this. So we're going to have an anchor tag, A. And then what we open, we always close. Anchor tag. And they're asking for an ID of tribute info. All right. So we're going to copy and paste that. Boop. ID of tribute info. Love it, love it, love it. Cool. Okay. So, but we know, and we're going to get down into the test. We know that this anchor tag is missing a couple things too. So I'm not going to fill them in now. Let's see what the tests tell us and remind us. And right now, try to think. I'm trying to get our learners to remember what are the things that an anchor tag needs. So let's always, we're not always going to be told what exactly to put in the anchor tag. As you can see, they only said ID tribute info, but there's other things that an anchor tag needs in order to work as well. So try to think about that and think, what does an anchor tag need? Perfect. Okay. So boom. Love it. Which contains textual content describing the subject. That was for tribute info. Oh, okay. Ha, I made a little mistake. We actually need tribute link because we're on number 7. So we're just going to copy and paste that over here. Tribute link. Excellent, excellent work. Cool. So for tribute link, we're all set. And so that says which links to an outside site that contains additional information about the subject of our tribute page. And they're giving us a hint. Hint, you must give your element an attribute of target and set it to underscore blank in order for the link to open in a new tab. So let's add that as well. We're going to add a target equals underscore blank. And so whenever we click on the link, remember, what does an anchor tag need? Whenever we click on the link, we are going to, it is going to uh, go to another place, which is exactly what we're looking for. Solid. All right. So, all right, let's keep moving. All right. So does anyone remember what is required in an anchor tag? How do we make this anchor tag work? How do you make this anchor tag work? Does anyone remember? Yes. Okay, perfect. So we need a href in order to make this anchor tag work. All right. So what we want to do is we have this incredible website that has all the information about our hidden figure, Katherine Johnson. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste this from nasa.org, which is an excellent and incredible resource. And we're going to add an href to this anchor tag here. So I'm going to add the href here behind everything, href, and then I'm going to paste that specific link. All right. And so whenever we click on the anchor tag, it will send us to this link. But first, we need some text to actually show up. And what I'm also going to do is make sure that we can see the preview. Yeah, the preview of our work. All right. So this is what the live site would look like. Perfect. So right now we see, we're like, hey, where's that anchor tag that I had below here? We actually didn't create any text for that anchor tag to actually show up. So what I'm going to click, what I'm going to type down here is, let me click right here. More information found here. All right. And so boom, it came up. Perfect. So if we are to click this, I'm going to right click this. We don't have to right click it because I can just regularly click it because we added that target blank, which would send us to another boop. Normally this link will bring you to another website. It works. Yay. Thank you. Thank you, Free Code Camp. You're the best. Beautiful. So, perfect. So we have that. That was number 7. More info found here. Perfect. You should see an anchor element. Hint, you must give it perfect. We did all that. And then number 8, your image should use max width and height properties to resize responsively. That sounds like we need to do something with some CSS. All right. So the image, and we're going to scroll up to where we have our image element, img, with the ID of image. So let's go over to our CSS and start writing a little bit. Oop. Don't mind this, everybody. Don't mind me. I've done this before. So we're going to get rid of that. You didn't see anything, if you know that reference. Okay, so we have an ID of image. That's ID of image. And remember, that is from our image element. Things are a little squashed here, so let me expand it. Perfect. ID of image. So it should grab this image, ID of image, and we're going to add a max width. And then they're also looking for, we're going to just put that as a placeholder. And we're also looking for a height. Okay. A max width and height property. Okay, they didn't tell us what those properties should be specifically, but we'll just say maybe a max width of 100%, and we'll do a height. We'll let the height automatically adjust as needed. So we're going to do a height auto here. Cool. Lovely, lovely. All right. So then lastly, for number 9, They are looking for your image element should be centered within its parent element. Okay, so we have our image element, and we want it to be centered within the parent element. So let's see. How do we center an image? There's many different ways, and you can just type into Google how to center an image. So you can look into Google whenever you need it, whatever search bar of choice you'd like. But let's do here. We can do text align center for this, and that will center whatever image. I'm so used to doing things in VS Code. I press save, so it just told me this the code was saved to your browser's local storage. Okay, so that would work. However, y'all, why isn't my image showing up? Right? I have an image tag. It has an ID of image. What else do I need? What am I missing? What am I missing? What's going on? So what am I missing for the image tag? Okay. Because I'm missing a couple things. All right. Couple things. Okay. So mainly for our image tag, we need the image to come from somewhere, right? Like where is that image coming from? So number one, you need a source tag for your image, a source tag for your image. Okay, so we have our ID, and then I'm also going to add src equals, and that's going to tell us where we're grabbing out our image. Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Cesium. A Free Code Camp is like, okay, how am I supposed to know what image you want, honey? Like, Free Code Camp said, I don't know what you're looking for, but I don't got it because you didn't tell me what it is. All right. So we have to specify where that image is coming from. So what we could do is I'm just going to click on this little image right here of Katherine Johnson. Let's see if we can get it to show up. So I'm going to grab this source from NASA. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But let me see if it works this time. So let me see. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Okay. It works. She is there. She is there. I love it. All right. So perfect. So the image is, oh, that's hilarious. Okay, it's back. We're back. We didn't lose anything. Perfect. All right. So we have our image here. It is a very, 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 very large, very, very large. But that's okay. That's what the requirements are. Yeah, exactly. It's real big. That's what the requirements are just right now. So let's make sure that we're fulfilling everything. Okay. So perfect. So we have our image element, but also y'all, okay, we don't just create image elements and have those image elements not be accessible. Like that's not how we do things around here. That is unacceptable. So we also need to always make sure that we also include a alt description. All right, alt tag. So let me add an alt tag here. Perfect. We're going to do alt, and then that alt text is going to describe exactly what is happening in that image. So I'm going to do alt equals, and let's do some descriptions here. And we do have a caption down below just in case we forgot to do an alt text. But it's always good to make sure that every time you create an image or a video or any kind of multimedia thing, that you are always creating alt text to go along with it. Okay, because people who might have low vision or etc. You want to make sure that this is accessible to everyone, right? Not just select few. All right. So this alt description. So this is a photograph of Katherine Johnson's face. All right. So I'm just going to use that photograph of Katherine Johnson looking into the camera. She is wearing glasses and I think yes, a striped shirt. Perfect. All right. So we're pretty descriptive for our alt text. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All righty. So we have our our alt text all set. And then for step 9, we said that our image element should be centered within the parent element. We've already checked that. Okay, so there might be a couple things that are missing here. I think there are. However, before we even go forward, let's check some. Haha, they reminded us, because guess what? We can never forget. So we have a note here. Be sure to add your link, your style sheet, and be sure to link your style sheet to your HTML so that you can properly apply your CSS. Because look, we had just said max width and everything. We gave it a height and then text align center, but it's massive. And that tells us that our CSS might not be linked to our HTML. So let's do that. Let's grab that up. Perfect. And I'm going to put that right there. Yay! Look at that. That looks so much better, y'all. Come on. Come on. Talk about it. Yes. And then we have Katherine Johnson's headshot. A whole bunch of information about her. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay, so let's make that smaller. It's going to scale. It's going to be responsive. Love that. All right, now let's see what we got to do. Let's run some tests. I'm going to minimize this style.css. I just clicked that button. And let's see where we are for our tests, which tests are failing and which tests are passing, so we can fix it all. All right, we got some check marks. Ooh, we're missing one thing, 2 things, and then things look solid from here. I love it. Okay, so the things we have to fix. You should have a fig caption or div element with an ID of image caption. Okay, so let's see. Oh, so they didn't tell us. This is interesting. So if we go back, I think they had just said for image caption, I'm going to go scroll up to that. Yep, they just said you should see an element. They were not specific. So we said, okay, we're going to choose span, but actually they did want us to have something specific. So fig caption or div. So we're going to, because we want to make sure that this is, I forgot what the term was, semantic HTML. We're going to use fig caption. So we're going to change the span to fig caption. And always what we open, we must close. Perfect. Fig caption. All right. So now we have the figure caption, Katherine Johnson's headshot. Perfect. And then what's the other thing that we did not pass? Your image element should have a display of block. All right. Okay, we can do that. So we're going to go back to our CSS, and we're also, this is the image element. We're going to add a display. I want that to be display block. Beautiful. All right. All right, so now it is trying to recalibrate. So we're going to run the test again. Ooh it, hey, ooh it. Go ahead, y'all. Ooh it. We did that thing. We did that thing. Excellent. So y'all, we did it. Got the big old check mark from Free Code Camp, and we have successfully finished the tribute page on Free Code Camp. So that is exactly what we want to do together. And so you're all probably like, okay, like, how do I throw this over into VS Code? Let's do it. Let's do it. And it's a pretty quick process. Yeah, heck yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Ramon. All right. So now that we've done it within Free Code Camp and we finished and all the tests passed, now we can, what I said before, I used the word port it over, but now we can just copy and paste all the text over here and put it into VS Code. So we have a question here. Before we move to that, can we see what would change if we didn't say height auto? Absolutely, we can see what would change. So let's change the height. We can change it to be a fixed height. Let's, for example, like maybe 100 pixels. Right? There we go. We see that the height is fixed and it changes and it scales to only be 100 pixels, and then the max width will be 100% of whatever when it has to deal with that height as well. So we can change this to 500 pixels. All right, it's a little warped. Not ideal, but that's why. And then we're going to, okay, perfect. So if we were to give that panel some space. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so this is what would change. if we were to change it out of that height being auto, which maintains the integrity of the photo. Love the question. Thank you so much. Cool. Beautiful, beautiful, y'all. All right, so let's move this over. And feel free to throw any questions as well, always in the chat, and we will answer them live. All right. So perfect. We're gonna roll over to we're gonna roll over to the VS Code that we had, and we're gonna place this all in VS Code. Yeah, perfection. All right. So it's a little scrunched, but let me grab it here. Beautiful. All right. So if you were to open up VS Code from a brand new thing, it will ask you, okay, like, do you want to start from a new file? Do you want to start from a project, for example, or anything like that? Um, okay. Oh, we have another question. Okay, so I was just wondering how height auto is different from the default behavior if we didn't use the height property at all. Excellent question. So let's try and get rid of the height property. And I know that the test won't pass, but working with CSS and HTML is always like trial and error, right? It's understanding both the basics of what things do, but also it's about trying different things and seeing what happens. So let's get rid of the height property completely and see how this changes. Okay, it looks fine. And let's see if things were to be responsive. Okay. Oh, and it completely disappears at a certain point. And then let's add it back. See what changes. Very, very interesting. So in this, yeah. Oh, no, you're fine. You're not distracting at all, Cesium. Appreciate you always. But this is the fun about HTML and CSS, right? Like it's about exploration, right? It's about seeing, okay, what can I tweak in order to make it do X? Or if I were to tweak this, would it have any impact at all? So excellent point. And I also know that for this, we have the height auto because they said that we have to have a height property on this. But feel free when you're building this out, look and see in what ways you can change out the CSS and swap out the CSS in order to see some really significant changes in your actual preview. And we're going to do some more CSS development tomorrow on this. It won't just be a black and white page. Don't worry, we're not going to land it there. But we're going to do some more CSS development tomorrow and really, really developing this out and making it look like a proper tribute page, similar to the one here. Okay. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, so let's copy and paste things. But first, we have to remember, all right, we're starting off with a fresh VS Code instance. And what I want to do is, before I even copy and paste any code over, I want to put I want to create a new folder, all right, so that we know what's going on, all right? So I'm going to click this tab right here. Anytime, Cesium, I got your back. I got your back. Okay, so I'm gonna click this here and this icon up top, which is like the file explorer, and it says you don't have an open folder yet. So it's gonna ask me, do I want to open a folder? And the answer is yes, I do. And let's see. So what I want to do is create a new folder for this, and we're gonna say free code camp underscore tribute page. All right. So that's what the new folder will be. We're going to press create. And now we see that we have a free code camp tribute page here. All right. So we can open this up. Ta-da! Perfect. So we see that the free code camp tribute page has been opened on our VS Code. And yes, I'm going to trust the authors because I am the author. Oops, dismiss. And then perfect. So we're within that folder. And what we want to do is create a couple different files within this folder. So what I usually do is press this icon right here. You can also press here, so I can get rid of that and press here and create a new file. And it will be a text file built in. And then you're going to select the language that we're going to be writing in. And we write in HTML, or at least this specific code is in HTML. Beautiful. So now VS Code knows, okay, this is an HTML file. So whatever I type, it'll know that it's a HTML file. However, so let's go over and copy and paste our HTML that we had written. Boop. And then wrote over here. Boop. Beautiful. So you can see the syntax. Oh, and let me make this bigger for everyone. Super big. Super, super, super big. Okay. You can see that the syntax highlighting is relative to this being an HTML document. And I just started with this new theme as well, so that's why you see the pinks and the greens, and this might look different from your normal VS Code instance. I can definitely drop the theme down below in a few. But I love this theme. I think it's super cute, so that's why I use it. So, all right. So now the VS Code knows that this is a HTML document, and we want to save this document as well. Right now, it's just thinking that main ID equals main is the title, and no, honey, that is not the title of this. So we're going to save. And if you're on a Mac, you can use Command and S at the same time, hold them both down, or we can just do over here, File, and then we can do Save As, and then we can say what we want to save this as. So we want to save it as index.html, and we want to save it within the folder that we just created. I'm going to press save. Beautiful. Now you see it over here. We love that. All right, so we have our index.html, but we still need our CSS. So let's go over and create a new CSS file. We can press a new file here, and we want to name it. We see here that it was named before styles.css, and that's what we'll just copy over, styles.css. And I'm going to press enter here. All righty. And now we have a styles.css file, and we're just going to copy and paste our styles.css information here. Beautiful. And I'm going to save that. Excellent, excellent. So now VS Code has both our index.html and our styles.css. Make this bigger as well and make it more widescreen for folk. Perfect. All right. So yes, so it has both now. And what you can do is, I don't know if y'all remember, but way back in the day, we had started, we had gone to have an extension. And so we pressed this additional view. There was an extension that I had installed on my laptop, which was called Live Server, which is a way to view your HTML and your CSS locally on your computer. So I had downloaded and installed Live Server already. And there you can find instructions online on how to install Live Server. But what you would just do is like search extensions. You can search Live Server and then look, it'll search for it. And then it says, oh, is this the one you want? Or let me see. Let me expand this out. Yes, that's exactly the one we want. You click on it, and then it takes you here, and it says, this would say install instead of uninstall. So you just click install, and then it'd be installed. So we'll go back to our file explorer, click on index.html, and what I will do is click on the file, and I'll go down here. You'll see that it says, it might be a little small, but it says open with Live Server here. So I'm going to click that. What? Okay, so it came up with our index.html file with our clickable link here. And you'll see that, okay, this is actually located on your computer. Okay, so you see this URL. It's not like a google.com or HTTPS URL. It's a URL that is local to your specific computer. So for example, if I were to copy and paste this right now and send it to you all for you all to view, if you click that, honey, you won't get nothing. Okay, you won't get nothing. You won't see nothing because this is local to my computer. All right. So now that we can see that this shows up, the website works. What we're going to be doing tomorrow is learning how to host it completely on Netlify. Actually, let's see if we might be able to knock that out today. We have a couple more minutes. but yeah, so we have it here on our local computer. We can see it here. Excellent. We have the code in VS Code. I'm just going to exit this out real quick. Boop. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. But you'll see here we have all the code, HTML, and then our CSS here. And now that it's local on our computer, yeah, let's go through it really quickly. Now that it's local on our computer, we can throw this over to Netlify. So let's go over and go over to Netlify, and I have it open. Beautiful. So what you'll want to do is sign into Netlify, and one of our first streams was to make a Netlify account. So what you want to do is to sign into Netlify, and then we are going to, let me just go to the landing page here, and then we're going to import this project to Netlify so that we can see it hosted on a real website address that I can send to each of you and you can actually click on. So we did a little bit of that process during one of our first streams, and we're going to do it again this time. So here, but before we even do that, we have to put it on GitHub, y'all. Let's put it on GitHub. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm already signed into GitHub. I'm going to go press new, and we're going to create a new repository for this. And this repository will be called Katherine Johnson. All right. That's available. This is public. And I'm just going to stop for now and then press create repository. Lovely. Okay, so this is a lot, everyone. Remember, we went through this the first time, but what I'm just going to do is skip over this stuff, and I'm going to go down here to where it says create new file. So I'm going to press this here, create new file. And this is Katherine Johnson. And what we're going to do is pretty much do something similar from what we had done to get it back into VS Code. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to call it index.html, and I'm just going to copy and paste all my code over. There are I wouldn't say faster ways. There are other ways to do this, like uploading your code from your local computer and sending it up to GitHub. Lots of different ways to do this. But just for tutorial or time sake, I'm just going to do this really quick way. But when you have larger projects that have multiple files, you'll want to do the process where you install Git and make sure you go ahead and rewatch Razel's Git and GitHub streaming video in order to remember how to go about that. But you'll want to install Git and push it up from your terminal. And that's how I normally do it as a software engineer for my day job. But just for tutorial purposes, we're just going to do some copy and paste here. And so we have our Katherine Johnson index.html. I'm going to commit these changes. Big green button. Yes, commit the change. Perfect. So now we have our index.html here. And I'm going to add a new file and make sure we get that CSS uploaded as well. And then we're going to throw the CSS, and that is in this here, right here. Perfection. Copy and paste it. Lovely. Oh, and we have to name our file. So we're going to do styles.css, commit those changes, commit the changes. And it should also show up here. Excellent, excellent. Perfect. So if we go back to Netlify, now that we have this all within our GitHub repositories, if we go back to Netlify, I'm just going to refresh just in case. But we're going to go back to Netlify, and we're going to see, we can see the GitHub icon right here. And so that tells us that we can import from git/GitHub here. So let's press that button, and then we can see here that it says deploy with GitHub. Okay. So since we were already signed in, GitHub and GitHub and Netlify are already linked up. They already know about each other. I did that off screen. So we're going to press this deploy with GitHub button. And it's going to say, okay, you're authorized. You can do this. And then it's going to show me both the repositories that I have in my GitHub account. These two repositories right here. See, Katherine Johnson and new. Excellent. So we're going to click the one that we actually want to deploy to Netlify. So now that GitHub has been authorized, we can see our GitHub repositories here, and we're going to click the one that we just made with Katherine Johnson. There's some build information here, but we can just ignore that for now and press deploy Katherine Johnson. Deploying, deploying, things are working, things are working. Okay, site deploy is in progress. And then once this updates, the site deploy will be complete and it will give us a link that we can use to share to our friends. Boom, it's done. Deploy success. Excellent. So let's view our site deploy. This is our first site on Netlify. Perfect. And what we can do is press this turquoise button here that says Open Production Deploy. I'm going to click it and we can see our website. All right. And so now, and I showed y'all the difference. The site that I had sent y'all before was local to my computer, so no one could access it. But this site here is now on the World Wide Web. All right. Is on the internet. You can click this site here and you can see what we had created with Katherine Johnson and even our working link, which sends us to the NASA biography. All right. Okay, so those are all the main things that we're going to be doing today. And then tomorrow, we're going to take this a step further as well. And we're going to add some more CSS to this. And we're going to dive in a little bit more on how to update your Netlify page, your website with the code from GitHub, and make sure that we can deploy this successfully to Netlify, which we have done. But I want y'all to come back on tomorrow, 4 p.m. UTC time. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat right now. We have just a couple more minutes to stay together. But as always, I always wanted to just show my appreciation for y'all for joining us on this journey, right? Like, I want you to pat yourself on the back, okay? As a learner, as someone who's going through this. I remember when I was first learning how to both how to code and to become a software engineer. Like, this stuff was really hard and was really difficult to understand. And many people always say that it's it becomes easier because it's just what they call time in the saddle. And what they mean by that is it's just the amount of time that you've been doing this. It becomes quicker and easier to you. So I want to stress that, and I'll stop presenting now. But I want to stress that to y'all that this isn't easy, right? This isn't easy stuff. But I want you to give yourself grace, right? I want you to give yourself time and appreciation. Show yourself appreciation. See where you came from and see where you are now. Just a couple weeks ago, a lot of you have not touched HTML before, and now you know what deploy means, and you know how to deploy a website onto another hosting site like Netlify, and that's really huge, right? That's really meaningful. So I'm so proud of your journeys. Coming to becoming either software engineers or joining tech or just using these skills to build out your lives in meaningful ways. And we are here to support you always. Okay. So sending you lots of love. Thank you so much for joining the Couchbase streams. We'll be back tomorrow again to continue this work. And if you have any questions, always feel free to follow both myself. You can always hit me up on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter at @NiaMaclinDev. You can see it right there. Or also make sure that you jump in the Couchbase Discord as well. So yes. Lots of love to y'all. Can't wait to see you soon. I'll be in the Bad Website Club Discord as well. So feel free to hit me up there, and I will see y'all tomorrow. All right. Have a good one, y'all. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. Talk to you soon. Bye.